So you've learned about labels and selectors. Now let me show you how everything fits together and how it's used within the Kubernetes world, right? So when creating deployments, services, so on and so forth. So in here, you saw that we define labels to our pods in this section. So spec and then template metadata labels. And then here, have a look, we have selectors. And you've learned about selectors. So selector and then match labels and then app and then customer. So in here, so this is all or nothing, meaning that, for example, if we have a label, for example, hello colon and then world, or it doesn't really matter, but hello world, just like this match labels, it has to match everything, right? So in here, it doesn't match this because the pod doesn't have the hello label. So it doesn't have this in here. So therefore, this wouldn't make sense, right? So if you say match labels, everything has to match in here. Otherwise, it won't work. So the same with, so if I cut this, for example, in here, so we have a service. And if I put my mouse in here, have a look. Route service traffic to pods with label keys and values matching this selector, right? So if I was to, for example, add this, so hello world, oops. So let me just indent this just like this. So this basically sends it to nothing because right here, we don't have a pod with these two labels in here. We have a pod with this label right here, but not with these two. So let me actually go ahead and demonstrate to you that this is the case. So I'm going to save this. And in here, remember we have this pod.yaml in here. And let's go ahead and create another pod. And you can find this file in the description of this video. So here, I'm going to just duplicate this. And then I'm going to say pod, or actually 3 dashes there. And I'm going to say pod. And then here, I'm going to say blue. So the name of this is blue. And then for the image, I'm going to say Amigos code, Kubernetes, and then column, and then blue. And then the port, so this will be 80. Let's take another one in here. So let's just duplicate this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this. And now here, I'm going to say green. There we go. So now we have 3 pods, right? And let's create now a service for these 3 pods. So here, I'm going to say service. And then let's just say that we're going to name this labels dash and selectors. So this is a bad name, but you get the point. And then here, so selector, in here, we're going to say app. So let's just not say app. I'm just going to say name. And then I'm going to say blue. There we go. And then I'm going to say 80 in here. And then 80 in here. Now we can leave this as a cluster IP, and I'm going to show you how to expose this. So let's just save this. And now if I open up my terminal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, oops, let me just Control C in there for a second. So cube ctl apply -f and then pod.yaml. So there we go. Now we have a service. So here I'm going to say, so cube ctl get and then pods. You can see that we have a couple pods in here. So we have blue in here. And I think, so if I go back and in here for the name, let's just change this to green, right? But the label, we're going to leave it as blue in here. And also let's change the name to green, just like that. Save this and then go back to my terminal, apply, and there we go. So now if I say get pods, you can see that we have green, blue, and hello world. So also if I say kubectl get service, there we go. and we have this labels and selector. So if I go ahead and say cube CTL and then describe and then SVC for service, labels and selectors or selector, have a look. We have 2 endpoints right here, right? So basically this is either blue or green, right? So you can see that in here it's actually grabbing, so this service, it says blue, right? So select a blue, and then in here this pod, even though it has the green image but the label is blue, it will show up under that endpoint, right? So the same with this. So this one is actually the real one, which has the image blue. So basically now if I was to, for example, say, so in here, let's just say in here environment, and then this is, let's say, test, for example, save this, and if I open up my terminal and then apply, so let's apply the file again, there we go, and if I describe the service, check this out. So endpoints is none, because remember I said that it's all or nothing. All of these have to match. So if I take this, for example, take this and then add it in here for a second, and let me also add it in here for this label, save this, go back and then apply the YAML, and if I describe the service again, there we go, 2 endpoints right here. Now let me go ahead and basically I'm going to say, oops, so let me just clear that. I'm going to say mini cube service and then labels and then selectors or selector. So here this will open up my web browser. There we go, and let me just bring my web browser and check this out. So this let me just put this full screen. So check this out. So you can see that this is green, even though in here have a look. So if I show you, it says blue, right? But because the green selector or the green pod right here has a label blue and test, it will show up, it will match this expression. So here if I was to refresh, we should get at some point the blue one. So let me just try and basically cancel out of this and then run this again, and if I open up my web browser, check this out, this time is blue, right? So hopefully now you can see the power of labels and selectors, right? So even though in here, so this pod has a different image, the selector is what does the magic, right? So this part right here. So if I was to change this to green, for example, so green, and save this. Now in here, let's just make sure that this is actually green, right? So green. So I was just showing this for illustration purposes. So this is the green pod, this is the blue pod, and currently we are serving the blue pod in here, and what I want actually is the green one, right? So in here, green, and that has the environment test. So if I basically Command C or Control C, my bad, and then if I say apply the file, so cube apply -f, there we go. And now if I say minikube service and then labels and selector, enter, and let me just take this right here, so this URL, Command C, go back, and if I paste here, enter, have a look. So now it's getting the correct one. So I wanted to give you this example so that you fully grasp labels and selectors. So you know that labels and selectors, this is how you tight or Kubernetes tights. Basically, let's just go back and recap. So replica sets and pods, and the same for deployments right here. So deployment, it's the same thing, but what I want to show you is actually services, right? So anytime you see selector, you know that this is actually going after any pod that has the set of labels, and all have to match. If you have any questions on labels and selectors, drop me a message. But now you should have a full understanding of how things are tied together. This is all for now. Catch me on the next one.